You know, they say the more that things change, the more they stay the same. So I just want to show you a case in point. I spent the week thinking about what my drasha topic should be, what my sermon should be about this afternoon, what message I want to send to the community. And I thought I had it worked out. I had particular sources I was working through. And this morning, as I was finalizing it, I said, you know what? I'm just not inspired. I'm not inspired by this. And if I'm not inspired, I cannot expect to motivate other people or inspire other people. So, at the 11th hour, we switched the topic. Much like on a regular Shabbat morning, I may get up and say, I was going to talk about something, but I changed my mind. So it's reassuring that in this world, tumultuous world of change, minute by minute, certain things are constant. But let me tell you what I would like to talk to you about. As we know, yesterday was Rosh Chodesh. Yesterday was the first day of the month of Nisan. And we're still early on in the month of Nisan. It's still fresh in our minds. And the first mitzvah the Jews were given, Klal Yisrael was given, was the mitzvah of Rosh Chodesh. And the first Rosh Chodesh, the first month, the first beginning of a month was Rosh Chodesh Nisan this month. The pasuk says, "HaChodesh hazeh lachem Rosh Chodesh." This month for you is the head of all the months. Rishon hu lachem l'chodshei hashana. It is the first of the months of the year. So it got me thinking that something I mentioned earlier in the week was that the world was created on the 25th day of Adar. There's a machlokas, there's an argument in the Gemara, was the world created on the 25th day of Elul or the 25th day of Adar, and therefore man, who's the center point of creation, was either created on Rosh Hashanah or on the first day of Nisan, which is yesterday. Now, how do we reconcile? When did it happen? Did it happen then? Did it happen yesterday? So the Arizal, the great Kabbalist, teaches us that Hashem created in two stages, in the realm of thought and planning, which is Rosh Hashanah, and in the realm of action, which is yesterday. Yesterday was the creation of man. Yesterday was the creation of man, but now if we look at creation versus what we're told about yesterday, because it's the beginning of Am Yisrael. It not only was the creation of man, it's the beginning of the Jewish nation. Yesterday is when we received the first mitzvah, and mitzvahs are what defined as commandments. The relationship, the bond that a mitzvah creates between Hashem who commands us and directs us to do them and us who do them, that bond is really what creates the Jewish nation. So there were two beginnings yesterday. There was the beginning of mankind and the beginning of the Jewish nation. But we find the distinction when it comes to creation versus the creation of the Jewish nation. The first day of creation, the Torah tells us it's Yom Echad. Vayikra, Vayikra, Yom Echad. There was evening, there was morning, one day. Here, the first month is referred to as Rishon hu l'chodshei hashana, the first. What's the difference between Echad and Rishon? So, the Hebrew speakers amongst us will explain that Echad implies there's not necessarily anything else. It's just one. Rishon is the first, means it's part of a unit. Hashem created the world. Rashi explains that the first day of creation was Echad. It was just a world of godliness. The world as we know it did not yet exist. Only in the subsequent days did the world as we know it begin to exist. Whereas the creation of the Jewish nation, there's immediately a Rishon. It tells us it's a beginning. It's not a first, but it's a beginning. What that means is, and I think that's a very, very important message for us right now, is that Nisan is a beginning. It's not just a month of oneness. It's not the 1 month. It's the beginning. In other words, there's going to be a hemshech. There's going to be a continuity. There's going to be a continuation. And we have to tell ourselves, we're going to make it through this. We're in a situation right now that's difficult. It's difficult on many levels, but we're going to make it through. This is just the beginning. What do we have to be doing right now? And that's something we constantly are talking about. What should we be doing? What should we be working on? What our internal world? But I think there's another message as well. And let me explain. As we said, that yesterday was the day of the creation of the world. It was a creation of man. It was the day of the creation of the Jewish nation. It also was the day that the Mishkan, 1 year later, in other words, the Jewish nation was given the first mitzvah on the first day of Nisan in the year 2448. Exactly 1 year later, the year 2449, is the year that on that day was when the Mishkan was put together, was built. We were given a command before then to build a Mishkan, build a tabernacle. People donated materials. There were certain skilled laborers that built different parts of it. And then it was put together by Moses. This came to fruition, to completion on the first day of Nisan. And the way to celebrate was that there are 12 tribes in the Jewish nation, 12 Shvatim, and each tribe has a Nasi, has a prince. Each day for the first 12 days of Nisan, a different one of the leaders of the tribes brought a karban, brought an offering, a special offering, a very elaborate offering to the Mishkan, to the tabernacle. And there are those who have the custom that each day of the first 12 days of Nisan, when there is a minyan, when we're able to come together, which unfortunately this year we're not able to, when we're able to come together, each day they read of the offering brought on that day. But now there's a deeper mystical connection as well that we're taught about, and I hope to be teaching on Monday evening, I hope to be teaching a class about this more in depth. Each month has unique spiritual energy. There's a unique spiritual potential to each month of the year, and each month is connected to a particular shevet, a particular tribe. And if we understand the energy of the month and we understand the unique qualities of the tribe, there are many parallels we could bring together, and we can understand how we can seize the potential of the month. So now, right now, there were Hasidic masters that would experience the first 12 days of Nisan. On each day, they would plan what they wanted to do for the month of the year that's parallel to that day. In other words, the first day of Nisan, they would plan what they wanted to do for the entire month of Nisan. Day 2, which today is day 2 of the month, they planned what they wanted to do for the second month of the year, the month of Iyar, and so on. So it's a time of planning. And I think that's what's so important over here is, we're living in a world, people talk about there's a new normal, and what's going to be. Well, today I posted on our Data Plano Men's WhatsApp chat a beautiful song, very touching song. I listened to it a number of times, and it brought chills to my spine, and it brought tears to my eyes. It's a song in Hebrew. It talks about how we essentially deified ourselves. We viewed ourselves that we're good. No deluge, no flood will come to our world. We're going to build great edifices and great towers, which sounds remarkably like the people of the Tower of Babel, that generation. There won't be any deluge in our day. We're not going to have another flood. We're good. We know how to do things. We're all on our own. We have everything covered. And then she came. The virus came quietly and softly, and suddenly we found out that we don't have it all figured out. We don't know. We're not capable. And suddenly everything's empty. And you see these clips of all these famous areas in Israel that are normally full with people, like the Ben Yehuda, and the trains and the buses, and everything's empty and nobody's there and no weddings are happening and so on. And the final clip is, I just have one request, if I may, just one request, that tomorrow when she leaves, when the virus leaves, let's not go back to normal. Let's never be the same. Let's never go back to the normal that was. Let's not be the same people. We have an opportunity right now to truly live the experience of Nisan, the experience of creation, the experience of the becoming a new nation, the experience of building the Mishkan, the tabernacle, the experience of the first 12 days of Nisan. We could truly plan something that's not going to be same old, same old. It's not going to be last year just maybe a little better. Last year just maybe a little different. No. This year is going to be unlike any other year. And we have no idea what it's going to look like. In the last 24 hours, I spoke to 2 highly intelligent, highly successful people who are very developed in the field of entrepreneurship. People who really are visionaries. And I asked them, what do you see? What do you see in the next few months? And they gave me radically different answers. The first one's answer was that he sees this stretching on for an extended period of time, and maybe the lockdowns will be eased and then it'll be put back in place and so on, and the economy is going to suffer terribly and things are going to be very difficult, and many very almost doomsday type of predictions. The other one said, it's going to be another few weeks. Everything's going to end in a few weeks. Take a couple of months for the economy to bounce back. The economy's in great shape. Everything's going to be fine, no problem. We don't know who's right. Person number 1, person number 2, I couldn't tell you. I don't think anyone could tell you. I don't think they could tell you, even despite their predictions. One thing's for sure, though. Now is the time to plan. You know what the greatest skula, the greatest merit for health, for vibrancy, for vitality, for growth is? Make yourself relevant. Make yourself relevant in God's plan. Make yourself relevant in what Hashem wants from the world. And relevant means don't be a relic of the past. Don't be living your past in the future. It's a new world right now. We have to be new. We have to be changed. We have to be different. We can't keep on doing what we've done in the past. And that has to be our plan right now. Right now, let's sit down for the next 11 days or the next 10 and a half days and let's plan. What is our year going to look like? What's the month after Nisan going to look like? What's the month after that? What's our summer going to look like? Our fall? What's next winter? What's next Hanukkah going to look like? And we can come up with something radically different, something incredible. Rishon hu lachem l'chodshei hashana. Let's look deeply into that pasuk. Let's look into those words. Rishon hu lachem. It is the first for you, l'chodshei hashana, for the months of the year. Rishon, like we said, means there's going to be subsequent. Means things are going to keep on going. The world's not ending. Life's not ending. We're going through a difficult time. It's a scary time. For some people, it's a matter of health. Probably many of you, myself included, I know many people, a number of people, who are dealing with very, very serious health issues as a result of this virus. Others certainly have either been affected financially, or others have been affected financially, or you're concerned, what's your sector going to look like in another few weeks? What's our jobs going to look like? What's our finances, our stock portfolio? Scary times. We're dealing with the stress of trying to work while having our kids at home. And the stress of how can you work when you have 3 kids or 4 kids who have to be online doing schoolwork, but they don't want to do their schoolwork. They're not looking to do what they should be doing. And you got to keep them there, and they're fighting and they're bickering. And then it's easy to start fighting with your spouse. And all this is scary and disturbing and challenging. Rishon hu lachem. It's the first. It's not the end. It's not going. There's not going to be a pause. Things are going to keep on going. There's going to be a continuity. L'chodshei hashana. The chodesh. The word chodesh which means month, comes the word chidush, new, renewal, new beginning. Seize the moment to create something new. You know that character trait that you maybe should be working on? You know that mitzvah you should be taking on, that aspect of Torah you should? You said, when I have time, the projects. So we all know the DIY projects, the do-it-yourself projects that we all have. Well, how about DIY in myself? Maybe I should start working on that. What is it that I can work on right now? Because you know what? While you're stuck at home with your kids, with the stress of your finances, with worried about health, and about making sure you have enough toilet paper and so on, in the middle of all that is a perfect time to work on your trust in Hashem, or becoming a person of calm, or overcoming your anger, or finding the peace of mind to open a book of Torah. This is the perfect time for this. Rishon hu l'chodshei hashana. It's the first of the months of the year. The shana, the Maharal says, the word shana can mean leshanot, to repeat, or can mean shinui, something different. Something different. That's my choice. Am I going to be living last year, this year, or am I going to be living something completely different? Something unlike anything before. Not in a scary way, in an awesome way. That's my choice. That's the choice I make. You know, I was on a conference call a couple of weeks ago, and just as things were starting, maybe it was only a week ago, time's change, time that moves so quick, I lose track of it. It was certainly a week and a half ago. I was on this conference call, and there were hundreds of rabbis from around the country on this conference call discussing policies and halachic issues and how to deal with certain situations. And then the question came up. One rabbi said, what do we tell those brides that were supposed to be getting married with hundreds of people, in a beautiful wedding hall, with a band, with wonderful food, with dancing, with joy. And suddenly now they're going to be getting married with 10 people in a backyard, a quick wedding. No one's going to stay for a meal because nobody's comfortable eating a meal right now. There won't be any dancing. It's just an officiating at the wedding, and that's it. What do we tell These young women waited their whole lives. From the time they were 3-year-old, they were thinking about who they're getting married to and what their dress is going to look like and how everything's going to be at their wedding. And suddenly, they're losing it all. And the guys maybe don't mind as much, but the guys certainly could tell you what drinks they were going to be serving at the bar. What do we tell these people? What do we tell these brides and grooms? What do we say to them? So one rabbi spoke up, and he said something amazing. He said, this is an older rabbi. He said, my parents are Holocaust survivors. He said, my parents got married right after the war in the DP camps. They got married right there. He said, you can imagine what a wedding was like at the DP camp. You probably had about 10 people at the wedding. There was no food, maybe some egg kichel. Those who know what they serve in what the Eastern Europeans like eating, that little hard kichel. Maybe there was a piece of herring, not even. Maybe there was a shot of scotch for someone to make a l'chaim on, maybe not. And there was a deeper question, should we get married? The world just saw the murder and the murder of 6 million Jews. What a cruel world we live in. And we have no money, and we have no security, and we don't know where we're going to go. The people in DP camps had no idea. Would they be able to make it to Palestine, to the United States? Would they have to stay in Europe? Would they go back to their neighbors who hated them and want to kill them? What would be? Should we even get married? But they decided, you know what? We are going to get married, and we are going to start a family. And he said, my wife was in a similar situation. He said, my wife's parents came to the United States right before the war broke out. But his mother-in-law was a European who came with her groom, who had been studying in yeshiva in Europe but was born in the United States. And they came back, again, poverty-stricken, no money, nothing. He said the only picture we have from the wedding is the next morning they went to a studio, a photography studio, and they had a picture taken. Otherwise, there's no memory of that wedding. He said, but you know what? My parents, my in-laws, they have hundreds of grandchildren and great-grandchildren. They built beautiful families. They've created legacies. This rabbi has changed the lives of so many people who was in his position as a rabbi. His father-in-law, who has since passed, was a dean of yeshiva and had thousands of students. And the rest of the family has gone on to make a tremendous difference in the Jewish world. He said, that's the resilience of the Jewish nation. When our back is against the wall and looks like, what's the point? We say, no, we're going to do it. We're not going to stop. We're going to keep on going. That is the message here. Rishon hu lachem l'chodshei hashana. It's the first. It's the first means the first of a unit, means it's going to keep on going. Things are not ending. Things are just starting. But now will it be shana? Will it be lishanot or shinui? Will it be a repetition? Will it be same old, same old? Will I deal with my same stresses and so on? Or will it be something radically different? I decide that. That is the energy of the moment. The energy right now is to create something very, very different, something unlike we've ever experienced in our lives. Because we live right now, if we're living in an unprecedented time, if we're dealing with a challenge that the world has never seen, then certainly our reaction and our response should be something the world has never seen either. That's our opportunity to seize this moment. Rishon hu lachem l'chodshei hashana. Spend the next 10 and a half days planning your year, making yourself relevant in Hashem's world. And then the answer will be yes, you fit into the world. Your chiddush, your transformation will truly change the world. May we merit to live lives of transformation, lives of shinui, lives that are completely new, that are relevant, that are in line with the times. My dear brothers and sisters, have a wonderful Shabbos. I love all of you, and I can't wait to hear from you. And with Hashem's help, we'll all get to celebrate soon, speedily in our days.